I hope you'll join me for our next online virtual seminar. It's Designing for Engagement, What Makes Them Click. And this seminar is all about unconscious mental processing and how that affects the behavior of people at websites. What we now know from the field of psychology and the research of the last 10 years or so is that most mental processing occurs unconsciously. And that makes a real challenge for those of us who design websites. How do we design a website that's engaging if most of the decisions and mental processing that people have is actually going on unconsciously? The material in this class is based on my book, Neuro Web Design, What Makes Them Click, and here's some of the topics that we're going to be covering. We're going to talk about the brain, and I know you think you have one brain, but you really have three brains. We're going to talk about the new brain, midbrain, and old brain, and how the brain works and how that affects people's behavior when they come to websites, and therefore what you need to know in order to design a website that is engaging and effective. And some of the principles and some of the research that we'll be covering are research, for instance, on how people make decisions. Wonderful work in the last 10 years or so about decision making, especially unconscious decision making. And we're going to apply that research to the design of websites. We're going to talk about the principle of social validation and how that comes into play at websites, including why reviews and testimonials are so powerful and what you can do, some of the latest research on what you can do to make sure you're using those as effectively as possible. We're going to talk about the idea of reciprocity and see how that plays in as to whether you should give people information before you ask for the form or give them a form that you want to fill out and then give them the information. There's actually research on this that we'll be covering. In fact, the entire seminar is very research-based. I love the research in this field, especially on unconscious mental processing, and we'll be applying that research to the design of websites. We're going to be talking about the use of stories and pictures and talk about how to use pictures and stories effectively and why they're so powerful at a website. And we'll be giving lots and lots of examples, showing you examples of good principles at work and how people have used these principles well as some websites where maybe they haven't done a great job at putting these principles to work. I hope you'll join us for our next online virtual seminar, Designing for Engagement, What Makes Them Click.